All right, we've gotten through 10 months of the year in 2024, and investors have delivered excellent results in 2024. Several of the major indices are up significantly, and the S&P 500 index is up over 20% year to date in 2024. But what are the top stocks to buy now? Specifically, what are the top growth stocks to buy right now? Well, I'm going to share with you my list of top 8 growth stocks to buy right now in November. I'm going to share with you each of those stocks. And as a bonus, I'm going to share with you how my list of top growth stocks to buy has performed so far in 2024 and compare it against the S&P 500 index and show you what you would have earned if you invested in my stock picks versus the S&P 500 index. So let's get right into it.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, my top 8 growth stocks to buy right now in November include Nvidia, Chewy, Alphabet, Salesforce, Snap, Fiverr International, Uber Technologies, and Amazon. Now, one of the reasons why I'm recommending these stocks as a buy is because of their valuation compared to the prospects. You'll notice here I have the forward price to earnings ratios of each of the companies I mentioned, and the most expensive stock on this list is Amazon at a forward PE of 34, and you'll be surprised to see that Nvidia is actually cheaper than Amazon according to this valuation metric. Now, I've been providing this list of top growth stocks to buy every single month here in 2024. And my most recent removal from this list, as I'll share with you here, is PayPal. I told investors to remove PayPal from my list, and I removed PayPal from my list because the stock price had increased by so much already in 2024. So I said it was a good time to take profits. Also, as you'll notice, I very briefly discussed each of those stocks I mentioned. I have dozens and dozens of videos on all of these stocks on my channel. I encourage you to do further due diligence on each of these stocks before you decide to invest in any one of these stocks on the list here. I have them listed on my top stocks to buy based on hours and hours and days of research. And now I'm bringing it to your attention. But I've researched these companies for many, many years. It's not just I found them right now. So how have these stocks performed year to date in 2024? Well, let's get into those details right now. So you can see here is the total return percentage of these stocks, and I included PayPal on this list because up until a couple of days ago, I had PayPal on my list of top stocks to buy. In fact, I can share with you my list that I maintain all year long here. PayPal, I had it rated as a top stock to buy, and I only removed it on October 29th. Following the company's latest earnings results and the change in the valuation of the stock price, I evaluated PayPal and took it off my list of top stocks to buy, but I still have it rated as a buy, so I still like the stock, but I just like these other stocks better than I like PayPal. So you'll notice, of course, Nvidia is my best performing recommendation on this list. It's up 175% year to date. And Snap is my worst performing at negative 24.6%. It's the only loser on this list of top stocks to buy. Some of the other excellent performers include Amazon, PayPal, which we already talked about, Alphabet, which is actually my number 1 rated stock to buy and has been all year long in 2024, and a few others like Salesforce and Fiverr International, which finally turned positive. Fiverr has been having a disappointing year, but the latest quarterly financial results sent the stock price higher significantly and put it into positive territory. For a brief moment, it had been in negative territory for the vast majority of the year in 2024. But how has the S&P 500 performed? It's up 21.66% year to date in 2024. I mentioned already it's had an incredible year in 2024. Being up 21% in 10 months is an incredible return on investment. I would take that each and every single year. If I was investing in the S&P 500, I would be thrilled with that result. But how did my portfolio perform against the S&P 500? Let's take a look at that right now. All right, so here I have calculated each of the returns of the stocks I recommended on the list of top growth stocks to buy. And my portfolio return overall in the first 10 months of 2024, as of November 1st, 11 a.m., it's roughly 11 a.m. here, Pacific Standard Time, my portfolio is up 31.61%. That's compared to the S&P 500 return of 21.66%. So I've outperformed the S&P 500 by roughly 10 percentage points, or about 50% compared to the S&P 500. Those are excellent, excellent returns. I would be thrilled with that if I can achieve this forever, but don't get confused. This is not expected to persist. And I've said this throughout the year in 2024. If you've been following, you'll know that I make this monthly update, and every month I say the same thing, regardless if my performance is really, really good, like it has been this month, or when it's not so good. And I say the same thing, which is that I expect to do better than the S&P 500, but not by this large of a magnitude. And I always say the same comment, that if I would be able to beat the S&P 500 by this magnitude for an extended period of time, I probably wouldn't be making videos on YouTube, right? I would probably be managing millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, because I would be so good at investing in the stock market. I wouldn't need to make videos on YouTube. So don't expect me to outperform the S&P 500 by this magnitude for any long period of time. For brief moments, like right now, the return has been much, much better. But over the long term, only slightly better than the S&P 500 is what I expect to achieve. Something in the magnitude of 10 to 30% better than the S&P 500, I think would be reasonable for my performance. I think that would be great for my performance. But this kind of performance, I'm thrilled about. If you've been following these recommendations and you've made money on this, I'm very happy about that. But I always caution not to expect this for the very long term, or not to expect this for an extended period. I don't want you to think, oh my goodness, Parkev is a great investor. I need to follow all of his recommendations because they're just so good. I do not want you to think that. That's not the takeaway to get from this. I always encourage you to do your own due diligence and just to look at these as a recommendation, as an idea for stocks to consider. Maybe you want to double check my recommendations against what you come up with after your own analysis. Those are all great use cases, but do not just take these recommendations as the ones that are going to work because Parkev made them and Parkev is a great investor. That's not the conclusion to come to. All right, this is for entertainment purposes only, informational purposes. Please do your own due diligence before making investment decisions. Hey everyone, so many of you have been asking about my investing strategy, and I'm excited to announce that I've written a book that's available for sale now that describes my 6-step investing framework for evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.